Let's do it in five, four. Hi, everyone. Henry DeVries with Agency Rainmaker TV. This is the show where we help you make it rain, how to find right fit clients. And I'm so excited to have my favorite business development author, Pamela Slim, with us today. Hi, Pamela. What are you going to talk about today?
I am so happy to be here, Henry. And I'm going to talk about selling at scale and maybe helping other people sell at scale.
Well, let's talk about your who, because I know agencies are a specialization, but I know
Mm.
you also are helping experts and people who are selling their expertise. So, how do you define your niche?
I define my niche as people who have big world changing ideas that tend to have a playground and implementation area that is large. So that could be people who are selling their services into large organizations, authors, experts, thought leaders that have a really impactful methodology that might be very applicable to many people out there on the internet and in real businesses. And then agencies, often including digital marketing agencies, folks who are helping others to sell their work. But to a greater extent, as our business is growing, it's also people who are creating things like institutes. So they're really wanting a structured way in order to define a curriculum, not just maybe one specific method of how they're delivering their expertise.
We're recovering institute founders, so I can surely appreciate that. I wanted
Yes.
to compliment you, Pamela, on filling a real want in the marketplace because people want to leverage what they have. And I often talk to people about their hidden assets. You have hidden assets, and I'm not talking about stocks or gold or gems. I'm talking about your process, your intellectual property, something
Yeah.
you've honed through the years, and people don't even see it as an asset. How do you help them see this as a hidden asset?
So there are three main phases. One of them is just like you're saying, often the excavation of looking at the work that you've been delivering over time and really seeing what are the threads. Is there a specific method that you've been using to really get excellent results? Often it's in the form of magic. It can feel like magic if you're the expert, or maybe that close circle of folks in your agency who can just show up into any room and make magic happen with their smarts. At first, you really want to lean in and listen and watch for, are there a series of steps, a method, a process that you go through to get there? So once you discover what should be a core method that has the biggest potential reach in the market, is then to go through a phase of codification, which is where then you want to really define very clearly, even for beloved time tested methodologies, sometimes we have extra steps or things we do where we're like, why do we do it? Because we've always done it. Should we keep
Yeah.
doing it? And so that's a lot of the work that we do often with folks, is just to streamline. The idea is getting to the best results with the fewest possible steps, both for you as the practitioner as well as for the person receiving the methodology or learning about the methodology. And then once everything is clear and packaged and organized, then you do want to start to package it for learning. That can be things like digital assets, classes, certifications, and licensing programs.
I noticed you didn't say the word franchise. Um, what's
So
your feeling about franchising things?
I think anybody who wants to be in business is amazing, and franchises can be a fantastic kind of a model for a certain kind of a person who does not get excited thinking about discovering their own thing and doing all the steps in business. And it helps to have a few $100,000 laying around, because for a lot of franchises, it's actually quite resource intensive to buy in. But again, for some people, that packaging is really helpful. We do not deal with anything to do with franchising because it is a very specific model. So for us, we're really looking at efficient, effective ways that people can deliver their materials at scale. For most people, it's often using the container of their current business. For others, it can often be looking for partners and people who could be licensing partners, or maybe people. You and I have talked a lot about PB&J partners. We are highly complementary, non-competitive in our services, where we often actually serve the very same client just with highly complementary skills. And so, from that perspective, you can find people who, once you have something that is very easy to sell and to scale, you can have others selling on your behalf, maybe including your offering within what it is that they're selling, or where you have much bigger implementations. Like for some of our clients, you're actually licensing materials, maybe creating a train the trainer where a whole organization, such as a very large Fortune 100 company, could bring your methodology into the way that they do things.
I brought up franchising as a stalking horse, something that we could just beat up on. I don't like to tell people how to live their lives,
Mm.
but if you're out to create a franchise, you're making a horrible mistake. That's for educational purposes only, not for legal purposes. It's
I love,
just
yeah.
time and energy. But licensing, certification, the
Mm.
things you talk about,
Mm.
um, that is a sweet spot. So that's very helpful that you have programs to create that. Now, how does Pamela Slim make it rain? How do you find clients?
I come from a long history in my business of being a content creator. So I started as a blogger back in 2005 with my first blog, which was Escape from Cubicle Nation. It ended up turning into a book and then to multiple books. And I have always loved writing as a way of sharing about what I'm doing, and also writing as a way of connecting with others through social media. I was here before we had social media, as you were. So it was really fun to watch that space rise. And I find for me, that still is something really enjoyable. I write a newsletter, I share a lot of information on LinkedIn. But really, at this phase of my life and business, now I have an agency. So my team kicks me out as much as possible. And they're like, "What are you doing messing around in our projects? We're better than you are," which is actually very true. And they say, "Get on the road." So getting in front of people in real live sessions, like I have done a number of times with you and your amazing audience, going to conferences. I was just at Kit's conference, the Kit, formerly Convert Kit, that's the email marketing software. I spent 4 days in Boise, Idaho, walking up and down the streets of Boise with really amazing creative people. And I find that is the richest, most wonderful, exciting way to get in front of people. There were all kinds of ideas to share. I met sponsors that have one-to-many connections with my audience, as well as people who have large audiences that are going to be good for guest podcasting opportunities as well as for speaking opportunities.
So you hit on all the three secret weapons of rainmaking. And number one is putting on your own event like we're doing right now, a Q&A, Zoom. Nobody had to give us permission to do this. We're there. Number two, get on other people's stages who are gathering your people. You call it watering holes
Mm-hmm.
or ponds.
Yeah.
So absolutely, and we're so honored that you come to ours. And I'm always looking for ones to go to. And then the third is not just talking, but some typing that you actually get thoughts down in writing through articles, blogs, all the way up to a book, all the way up to your New York Times best-selling book. So it's a
I don't have a
spectrum.
New York Times best-selling book. I will clarify. I wish,
Oh, so
but
you're just an Amazon.com
yes.
bestseller like me? Oh, well, there we go. Um, the so for people who want to know, I had a choice. Did I want to make my Warren Buffett book a New York Times bestseller or an Amazon.com bestseller? And it would take $100,000 investment for the New York Times, and it was going to take 20,000 for Amazon. And guess who sells more books? Amazon or the bookstores that they poll for the New York Times? So,
Yes.
um, yeah. So being Dutch and frugal, that's the F word for us. I was frugal and went in that direction. But no, no shame in being an Amazon.com number one bestseller in your category. That's for
That's
sure.
right.
Um, Pam, it's so great. We're going to have you out again for our conference September 19 and 20, the Health Authority Conference. And that forum is for people who are in the health business, either agencies who deal with health or health tech, biotech, people who are practice management, advising on it. So we're creating another pond, another watering hole, and we're gathering people at UC San Diego. So for details on that, you can go to rainmakerforum.com. Thanks. That's all the time we have, except is there any one thing you wanted to add before we go?
No, I'm just excited you're moving more in the health tech area. The last 5 or 6 clients we've had have been people who are physicians and people in the medical industry. So it's definitely an example of something that is great when you do sell it at scale because it means more people are healthy and have access to great new ideas. So I'm actually real excited for that new direction you're taking.
Thank you. Yeah, we formed a imprint, which in publishing is a brand for
Hmm.
specialization because we found we already had 30 authors. We said, well, why don't we form an imprint and do it? And as I started to explain it to people, I thought some people were going to say, Henry, what are you thinking of? Where are you doing this? And everybody said, oh, we're going more into health too. Oh, we were looking for that. Sponsors lined up, speakers lined up, just as that Zen proverb, the grass doesn't struggle to grow. This has not been a struggle once we declared it. So we're looking forward to having you out there. So until next time, make it rain.